Hey, real estate investors. That's right. This is the Red Door Property Management Podcast. We're about to get kicked off here. My name is Chris Knight. I'm the Business Development Manager here with Red Door Property Management. As everyone knows, I'm joined here with Mike Taylor, the owner, broker of Red Door Property Management. Mike, how's it going?
Really good, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. I don't have any books or anything new to mention. It's taken me a long time to get through the last one. So if you don't know what I'm reading, maybe you should check out the other podcast from last month, and I'm sure you'll be highly interested in all that great content. But aside from that, we've got some great segments here, some super valuable information as we jump into what's happening in the July numbers. So midsummer numbers that are going to impact your real estate decisions, your investments decisions going forward. So be sure to stay tuned to our market reports segment. Next, we're going to get into our economic updates. But what's most important is I've got a little bit of a tease segment we're going to throw in where we get into a lot of property manager and investor insights on the tail end of this podcast. So we're going to talk some of the numbers, some percentages of where people are investing, what's happening percentage-wise nationally. We're going to get into what are some of the headaches of major investors that have expanded their portfolios and even those one-offs, those reluctant landlords, as we call them. So stay tuned for that on the tail end of this podcast, and I'm confident you're going to be fascinated with some of the information that we're going to get out as we get to that portion of the podcast. But until then, we're going to talk more about some of the boring stuff here. Let's get into the economic updates. I know Mike has those prepared for us, so let's jump in.
Yeah, I got a couple national and a couple local.
Nice.
So maybe we'll start with the national. And I just got a couple articles I was going to talk about. Let me share the screen here real quick.
All right.
Give me a second here. So, and actually, two of them are really related, but this one is from CNBC, so totally national. But this is institutional landlords see new competition from unexpected source. So this is talking about, like you kind of just teased, Chris, is the entry of, or I would say re-entry of the what we call accidental landlord or reluctant landlord, or whatever you want to say it. It's people who maybe try to sell their house but can't sell their house, and then so they opt to rent it instead. We think it's a good strategy, especially if you have, one of those 3 or 4 or 5% interest rates. But this is definitely affecting the market here, both locally and nationally. And I think that this is going to be a trend that we're going to see for the next little bit. Is more competition, more rentals, more reluctant landlords entering the market, and then therefore just a little bit more inventory. So just something to keep an eye on. Again, a reason to tune into this podcast to make sure you're up to date with, well, how many homes are on the market? What's the days on the market? Like, be very reactive to the market. But so anyway, for me, this is like a 2-point thing, because it's like, okay, well, one, be aware of it, that these people are coming into the market. And then 2, Chris, you probably know better than anybody, but we get a lot of these calls from people who can't sell their home. I mean, it's August, and so the real estate sales market is winding down. I mean, we've passed the peak of it, and so if you couldn't sell your house, this is a realistic option for some people to look at, is to potentially turn their home into a rental instead of selling it out.
Listen, I think you're sugarcoating it a little bit more than I normally would. The thing is, look, if anyone who's viewed these podcasts know that me and Mike have a little bit of a thing going on about what's happening in the sales market and what's going to happen with real estate prices, kind of in the micro economic view here. And without a doubt, we're seeing more, at least in my opinion, that I have been closer to accurate on this, where overwhelmingly so, the news reports are coming out that people are struggling to sell their homes. And just like you alluded to a moment ago, yes, I'm having those conversations every single day. So a couple things that I want to mention here and make the transcript. If you're having trouble selling your home, what do you do? Well, you don't have to assign your mortgage, which I have seen a couple people, even locally, they're just assigning over their rates, their 4% interest rate, their 3% interest rate in order to get out of their house. You don't have to resort to that. There are other alternatives. Reach out to us, reach out to a property management company, or if you're not even local to Indiana, reach out to a property manager and look at other solutions. You can possibly rent your property, especially if you have one of those lower interest rates. You're almost certain to be able to cash flow in today's market. So yes, there are a lot more of these that are going to be hitting the market, and you do need to be aware of them. You'll need to make rent adjustments accordingly based on the supply that's going to be hitting the market. But most importantly, if you're one of these people that are trying to sell your property and can't do so, there are other options available to you.
Chris, I do want to mention one thing, and actually another article I'm going to mention ties into this, but I think a lot of people, when they're like, asking themselves that question, should I sell or should I rent my home? I think that sometimes people think, I shouldn't turn a higher end home into a rental. It doesn't always have to be this house right here, $150,000 house. You can successfully, and we do all day, every day, successfully rent homes for 2, 3, 4, 5,000. Actually, I don't know if they've signed on yet, but Chris, you were just working with like $1 million house that I think we're going to rent for 10,000 a month. So I mean, it's there. Those people also need places to rent, whether it's people coming in from out of town, relocating here. You can rent a home for $2, $3, $4, $5,000 a month. We do it all day, every day.
Yeah, another really good point. I mean, and that's at the extreme end of the spectrum there.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, there are even people that have what they would consider executive type properties. But the one you're referring to, yes, that is what we here at Red Door would consider an executive type property. It's a $1.8 million home. It's going to rent for 10 grand a month. And yes, there is a market for those. So if your home, if you're not even close to the 1.8 million type, I mean, there are people where their homes are valued at 700,000 and they wonder, there's no market for my type of property.
Wrong.
Yes, there absolutely is. Yeah. So that's a great capture, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't want to dwell too long on this because that's not what most people are doing, but there is a market for that for sure. And the reason is because not a lot of people do that. So it's always a good news, bad news situation where there's not a lot of comps to look at, and there's not a lot of inventory, and there's not a ton of renters, but guess what? There's not a lot of inventory. And so, you pop a house up for $5 grand a month. There's only a handful of those available in the city at any given time. So there's definitely a market for it. Anyway, let's move on. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but that is definitely a thing. And then the other one is kind of a repeat of this. It's just echoing it. Let me see if I'm not sharing this tab here. Hold on. I'll share this tab instead. So this is BiggerPockets. I know a lot of our viewers also read and scroll BiggerPockets, but this is how the rise of the accidental landlords has transformed the housing market. So this is just from 3 days ago, but they're changing the supply, and this is being talked about. This is a real thing. So I don't think we need to dwell on this, but this is happening. It's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen as the market softens here, as we get into fall and winter. Definitely just seasonality. And then it looks like the overall trend is more inventory, more days on the market. So I think this is just something that everybody needs to be aware about. So I don't think we need to dwell on this too much, but just a little exclamation point on the first article that, hey, this is happening. This is coming. This is a thing. Be aware of it and participate in it if you want to. If you can't sell your home, this is a real thing.
Very good point. Yeah, of course. A lot of our clients even come from BiggerPockets. So it's a great, we've been a great resource for all investors that do participate in the BiggerPockets program. And even it doesn't surprise me that they're catching on to this as well. And they're reporting on it as well. Accidental landlords, how they're changing the rental supply, and supply is obviously going to change demand and prices. Yes, this is all going to be a factor. This is great. Good stuff.
Yeah. So it's not all bad news. I've actually got some good news here. Let me skip to this one here. I talked about this, I think, last month, but man, I am just so convinced of this. So this is Carmel again. Okay. So this is Home Place. So Carmel Plan Commission reviews US 31 subplan area. I don't love to talk about like plans and because there's so many things that are submitted and then never go through, but I am telling you, Carmel, when they do things, they do it right. They spend a lot of money on it. They put a lot of thought and effort into it. And so I am just firmly convinced that this whole area, it's called Home Place, used to be called Home Place, is going to be transformed over the next 5 to 10 years. If you're not familiar with Home Place, we don't normally talk about Carmel because Carmel typically is, for investors, usually it prices out investors. Honestly, it just doesn't make sense to purchase a home in Carmel for the most part, because prices are usually just a little bit too high. The exception to that is Home Place. So Home Place is kind of like in the southern portion of Carmel. They annexed it, I don't even know how many years ago. But so it's Carmel. It has Carmel schools. That's really the most important thing. It's got Carmel schools, Carmel services, all that kind of stuff. But it's been honestly the one part of Carmel that's been kind of, I don't know if I would say neglected, but definitely not gentrified. And they are on the precipice of gentrifying this. And so it's going to change. And this is, a long-term play, of course, but if you've got a 5 to 10 year time horizon, I think this is a great opportunity to purchase in Carmel, to see some really, really good appreciation, because it looks like they're going to dump a ton of money into here. That's going to kind of just continue that Midtown Carmel is what it seems like. They want to make it like this walkable, a walkable human scaled environment that balances residential edges with vibrant mixed communities or vibrant mixed use. So it's kind of just more of what's going on in downtown Carmel, in Midtown Carmel. I think it's just going to go all the way down there, and it's really exciting. It'd be a great time to purchase something down there for a long-term play.
Now, listen, you can't talk about Carmel and Fishers, right, without talking about the rental cap that's been instated, right? So we should at least disclose that there has been a rental cap that has been passed by local ordinances. So if you're going to purchase in Carmel, you better do it quick, and you better file. And these are the discussions I'm having with everybody who calls me, who has got a property in these areas. In fact, there was one listed with another property manager. This is kind of good, so I'm going to mention this. So that was listed with another property manager, and he's reaching out. The property has remained vacant. They're not giving him proper updates or suggestions on what to do, reduce the rent, whatever it may be, in order to produce an applicant. Now, one of the first things I said, before we get into all that, are you aware of the ordinances that's been instituted in Carmel? No. What do you mean? Well, have you filed the necessary paperwork in order to get your permit? No, I haven't done that. So wasn't even aware. And this is somebody that was with another property management company. So talk about when you're hiring a property management company, and if let's say they're offering 8%, but here at Red Door, we're offering 9%. Well, you want to save that percentage, the cost that it can have on you, because if he didn't know about it, and let's say he never filed, he could end up in a much different situation than he ever intended because of that. So
he wouldn't be able to be as a rental. He wouldn't be able to.
Exactly. You think you're saving yourself a percentage point? Boy, you're costing yourself so much more. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting. So rental caps, they are a real thing here in the Carmel and Fishers area. So be aware of it.
Yep. Cool. All right. Last one is, I'm actually going to pull up. I got an email, so I can't see on a website anywhere. So I'm going to pull up just this email and just share this with you, if you don't mind, Chris. Here we go. Okay. So this is the email I get from the Indiana Association of Realtors. So this is now statewide data. Okay. So just for what it's worth, just know that this is not local Indy. This is statewide, but it's Indiana. Okay. So a couple things I wanted to point out here is that inventory, we've been talking about this for a little bit here. We've seen it creeping up. We've seen it affect days on the market. But this is statewide inventory, and this is a great graph that I thought really illustrates this. Is you can see down here, this is 2020. Are you seeing my screen, Chris?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so this light blue line, this is like 2020. This is when the market was nuts. Okay, and you can see, the lowest point was in December. We had 8,000 homes on the market in December, and we are at 2025 here. We've almost doubled that. So inventory has been slowly creeping up. Again, this was nutso time. You know what I mean? Like, you would put a house up for sale and it would go in a day, no matter what condition or whatever. So it was crazy times. But this is just a really interesting graph to show where we are with things. And I don't know, it's interesting. So inventory is definitely creeping up. It is a real thing. We've been talking about it here for several months.
Yeah.
But this is a graph that just kind of confirms it, really.
Yeah, no, it's a wave that I have felt here on the ground for some time. And yeah, that's a really telling graph. So just so the viewer knows, these are not rental listings. These are sales listings.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
That are on the market. So they have nearly doubled, which in my knowledge of economics, with supply, oversupply prices will come down to some degree. Now, that also leads me to a point that maybe now is a perfect time to buy, because as those do start to correct a little bit, it's only a matter of time before the Fed does reduce the interest rate, right? And that's going to spark everything. All these millennials that haven't been able to purchase because of the current prices, well, all that's going to change as soon as those interest rates start to tick down, which then is going to send prices even higher than I think that they are today. So honestly, today is probably the time to be looking at buying. You're probably not going to have more negotiating power than you do right at this moment. So now is the time to jump in, negotiate a price, make a purchase, and let's talk about getting that house on the market.
Well, two things to add to that, Chris. So, I mean, just to your point, just to, I guess, emphasize it, I mean, it's right here. But with inventory still limited by pre-2020, price appreciation is still positive. So even though we have doubled the inventory, appreciation is still happening. So that's why I think you and I, kind of joke around about it. But like the bottom's not falling out. The prices are still going up. Inventory is going up. Days on the market are going up. Yes, but prices are still going up. And so it's a great time to buy. And let me just share this next thing with you, and then we can move on to the question of the week. But one thing that I thought was really great news for our investors was down here just a little bit, starter home slowdown. Okay. So this is cooling demand for first time or moderate income home buyers. This is homes under 250. So those are sitting on the market even longer. Why? Because first time home buyers are opting to rent instead of purchase. And I don't know what it is. I think it's 38 is the average age of the person who purchases a home nowadays. I think it used to be like 28. Now it's 38.
That's
that's great news for investors. I mean, so we keep talking about, okay, increased inventory, but you know what? There's also coming with that increased demand because people are delaying buying a home because of prices, because of interest rates, because of all of the things, the economic conditions. So that's why I said at the beginning, it's not all doom and gloom. There is increased demand. And so there is good news out there, and it is still a good time to purchase an investment home.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And I know we were going to jump on over to something else, but there are a couple other economic things that are happening that I just want to read some blips on, just so people are aware of what's happening in other areas. Man, that is some really good stuff, Mike, that you brought. Let me see. I'm going to swap back over to our double screen here, and I'm just going to read some of these highlights because there are other areas that we work in, and some of these areas kind of get neglected on some of these market updates, and I just want to show them some love. So here we go. So Noblesville, what's going on in Noblesville? And just like what Mike was alluding to during the information he was providing on Carmel, so these town centers are becoming like this major thing in all these big cities, right? Fishers has been very successful at driving because Carmel didn't have one. Carmel residents are coming to Fishers to enjoy their town centers, and McCordsville's got the same thing happening here, which, man, it seemed like it was dragging on, and it's finally catching fire. There's so much. Yeah, cool. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, we're going to talk about Noblesville here first. So Noblesville, I don't know if you've heard about the Innovation Mile and Arena that they have there for the basketball team.
No.
Have you seen any?
No.
Yeah, so now they have a basketball team there in Noblesville. So Noblesville has just opened up the arena at Innovation Mile. It's a $93 million facility that will serve as the home of the Noblesville Boom basketball team. So
is this the one right off of 69?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is part of the larger 600-acre Innovation Mile project. So it's a 600-acre Innovation Mile project, which is expected to generate $2 billion in revenue over the next 30 years. This development is a major economic driver for Noblesville, boosting local employment and attracting more businesses to the area, of course. So, and I'll remind you that there's currently no ordinance going up in Noblesville. So it's great school systems, an absolutely wonderful area to look at if you're a new investor looking to purchase property as an investment. Noblesville is killer awesome.
It is. You know what? I drove by that. It was like maybe a month ago, and I had never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. It looked like it looks very similar to that the Fishers one, where the hockey team plays and the Indy Ignite, the volleyball team plays. I assume it's something similar.
Yeah. It looks almost just like that. And by the way, that place is awesome. Love it. Yeah. Me and Colvin go there occasionally for hockey games, and man, it's really, really cool.
I have not been there. I want to go to a volleyball game, man. It looks really cool. I can't wait to go.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. It's freaking cool. All right, I got a couple more here. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to skip that one. We talk about Brownsburg. This is one that we don't talk about a whole lot. Just a short one here. So Brownsburg is considering a major enhancement of Lincoln Lincolnwood Park, including an amphitheater, new recreational facilities. This project is aimed at improving quality of life and attracting more families to the area, reflecting Brownsburg's growth, which there is a tremendous amount of growth going on in Brownsburg. And it almost goes back again to a town center that I think Brownsburg is slowly starting to. I think that's pretty much what they have in mind here. So they want to bring people to this town center area and expand businesses once they have some infrastructure in place. So let's see. I think we've covered a lot of Indianapolis. Tons of investment going on in the Indianapolis metro area. Healthcare sector jobs continue to grow. Several sectors and new companies announcing expansions. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. So I just wanted to give Noblesville, Brownsburg, some of these outlying areas a little bit of attention. Okay. I think that's going to wrap up our economic reports.